So behind me is the current state of what I'm hoping will become a mix of an office and relaxation space. It's currently a mess because I haven't quite figured out where everything is supposed to go. There's an LG OLED in front of a couple monitors, and this desk is still sitting on top of these IKEA static height legs that are not really efficient in terms of both space or storage. I have an idea of what this space will look like, and I figured the best place to start is to get rid of these old table legs and upgrade to a standing desk. I've come to realize that buying a standing desk can be pretty confusing if it's your first time. There are so many different features like how many motors you want, weight capacity, desktop materials, memory functions, the list goes on and on. It can get overwhelming, but I'm hoping that as we go through my upgrade experience, we can talk about the core features that you should look out for when you go to make your own purchases. To showcase the different options out there, we'll be focusing on this FlexiSpot E7 standing desk that starts at $319, along with two other really popular options: the autonomous DIY standing desk frame that goes for around $499, and coming in at a much lower price point, the monoprice Workstream desk at $169. Before we get into comparisons, disclosures. FlexiSpot did send me out this standing desk, but they were so confident that I would like it that they agreed for me to publish this video without any oversight. The other two standing desks you see along with the accessories were purchased myself. So one of the first buying decisions you're going to make when choosing a frame is going to be the weight capacity. This will more or less dictate the motor choice as well. If you're going to have a few things on your desk like some decorations, a laptop, then this won't really matter too much. But if you plan on having a full workstation setup, you're gonna have to be a bit more mindful. It's easy to remember the obvious stuff like monitors and computers, but people often forget how heavy the top can be, and it really eats into the total weight capacity. For example, running IKEA countertops as desktops have been really popular the last like 5+ years. This 74-inch Carl B countertop weighs in at about 65 pounds, and it's not even a solid butcher block. Throw in about 15 to 30 pounds for each monitor, more if you're running a TV like I am, maybe your PC as well if you want to have it on display, and we're already looking at anywhere from 100 to 155 pounds, not including anything else you might want on your desk, so things do really add up quickly. I touched on this a bit earlier, but the weight range you decide on also has an effect on whether you be running a single or dual motor. While there are exceptions, for standing desks under the $500 range, dual motor does generally mean higher weight capacity. For me, all my standing desks are running a dual motor setup for a variety of reasons. The first is to, well, maximize the weight capacity. The FlexiSpot E7 is great for this because it can handle up to 355 pounds, which is well above monoprice's 220 pounds, and has a healthy margin over autonomous's 310 pounds. This is important for me because I want the flexibility to be able to size my setup up or down as my needs change. Dual motors also have the benefit of having a sleeker design. With a dual motor configuration, you can split the work up, and this allows you to use smaller motors that can be embedded into the legs. So once you have everything built together, you won't even notice that they're there. In a single motor configuration, you have one massive motor that often sticks out, and it drives a rod that controls the height of both legs, which is fine if you run a wide table, but if your top is too narrow or too low, there's a chance you might bump into those components. So even if you don't need the weight capacity and you're just using a laptop, it could still make sense to go dual motor just for the aesthetics. Now, I don't want to completely bash single motor setups, so I do want to mention that they have one big pro in that they won't suffer from the same leg height sinking issues since both legs are driven by the same motor. With dual motors, one motor could die and go out of sync, making the table useless and uneven, but I personally haven't had that issue with any of the three desks I have. Leg stages are also important. Those are the segments that you see on the screen right now. 3 stages allow for a wider range of height adjustments over the 2-stage variants. Now, I don't think the maximum height is too important because it's not like you're going to be reaching over your head to type or anything, but the minimum height, however, is important to maintain a comfortable and healthy sitting position. So generally, 2-stage legs have an average bottom out height of about 28 inches, but the 3-stage FlexiSpot allows for a minimum height of 22.8 inches, 24.4 for the monoprice, and 25.2 for the autonomous. I found that having a lower minimum height is also good if you have children in the household, making it easier for them to reach for items on the desk if you want them to. The next important decision you're going to have to make is with the desktop material. On this front, there are so many options and variations, but here's the gist of things. You can go with a really cheap IKEA desk for under $100, but these are essentially reinforced cardboard. They have a honeycomb structure on the inside to keep the table rigid, making it a low-cost, cheap option. But if you plan on mounting heavy monitors and lighting equipment to your desk, say for streaming, it's very possible to crush the table with the mount clamps. You can see here that I had to use a metal plate to distribute the weight so it wouldn't just punch through the table. The next level up are tables with laminate or veneer surfaces. Both you're seeing here are from IKEA. They have nice uniform colors and can even replicate the texture of real wood, but if you look at the core, you can see it's basically particle board. Regardless, these tabletops are really strong and can hold up to mounting some of the heaviest equipment. This double monitor setup that includes an ultra wide is no issue for this Carlby top. The only drawback that I've seen is that if you don't support these types of tables close to the center, I have noticed that they can start to bow from the weight over time, especially with thinner tops like this one. Finally, the most expensive option but the most solid are full wooden tops, also commonly referred to as butcher blocks. The one I have here is the FlexiSpot rubber duckwood, and it looks really good. Tops like this use real wood without fillers or adhesive, and it's more expensive, but I have noticed that even with this thinner top, it's more resistant to bowing when compared to thicker particle boards like the Carlby. This is important if you're planning on supporting the table at the far ends, like I will be doing. When it comes to building these tables, they're all more or less the same difficulty. You can build a complete frame in about 6 to 8 steps, but I think the E7 is a clear winner in terms of design for a few reasons. The first is the main control hub that you see here. Everything connects to this: the power, the controller, and the motors. On the other two frames, you would have to mount this to your tabletop with screws, mount it to a frame with straps, or place it into a cable management tray like I have with the Autonomous. The E7 has these mounting tabs so you can avoid unnecessary screw holes in your tabletop. It comes pre-installed, slightly simplifying the install process. So by far the best solution of the three. The E7 also takes cable management a step further by including this tray that you can use to clip over the entire bottom middle section, turning this whole area into a cable management channel. No fussing with cables, trying to plan out where to route them. Everything just tucks away really nicely. The E7 also has these rubber mounts along the middle section that really helps in supporting the tops and significantly helps in preventing the tabletop bowing. The Monoprice has a couple of these as well, while the Autonomous doesn't have any, and it really shows. To control the height of the table, you'll be using a control unit similar to one of these. It can be as basic as just having up and down controls, but the unit that comes with the FlexiSpot E7 has pretty much all of the bells and whistles. All three brands can do the typical stuff like adjust your height and save your preferences to different memory slots, but the FlexiSpot E7 takes it a bit further, allowing you to also enable child lockout protection, represented by this lock on the display, along with this blue LED. This is such an important feature to make sure children can't cause serious accidents. It also includes this USB port that supports Quick Charge 3, but unfortunately no USB PD, which seems like an oversight with PD becoming so prominent, but still useful for devices like gaming mice or wireless headsets, so you don't end up wasting a port on your PC. The E7 and the Monoprice also has collision detection. This is incredibly important for me because I plan on running drawers on both sides under the tabletop. There's been so many times I've almost knocked over my entire Autonomous desk by accidentally going lower than what was stacked under my desk. I know I could be more mindful, but this definitely makes it a whole lot more idiot-proof, and I appreciate that. Now, the prices of these frames have come down quite a bit over the years, but it's still good to have peace of mind knowing that you're covered if you do run into any problems. FlexiSpot's basic warranty is 5 years, but they offer extended base warranties on a variety of frames. They're apparently so confident in the E7's reliability that it's covered for 15 years. This cover eclipses Monoprice's 1 year and has a lead over Autonomous's 7. The question with long warranties like this is always if the company is even going to be around to service it, and from what I can tell with FlexiSpot and Autonomous, they've been in business since 2015, so I'm definitely more hopeful that they'll remain in business to honor these warranty requests over, say, random brands you might find on Amazon. One final important thing to note is that companies generally handle warranty for their tabletops separate from the frames. So for example, this E7 frame is covered for 15 years, but this rubberwood top is only 2 years. The next thing I want to talk about in this standing desk buying adventure are the accessories. The options are endless, but here are some of my favorites that can really help improve your quality of life. Starting with monitor arms, there are a few different types. A gas arm version like this one, a static pull like this one, and a couple that are essentially a combination of the first two. I really like this Logitech gas style arm for single monitor setups under 34-inch ultrawides, but for dual monitors I prefer these pull style mounts because I can mount more displays without having to take out more desk real estate for the mount itself. These static mount styles are also great for mounting heavy monitors at a reasonable price. Next up are cable management trays. There are so many different variations, so pick one that fits your needs and budget. though I do recommend staying away from the IKEA ones if you can. Another game changer are quality casters, with the emphasis on quality, because I initially wanted to save a few dollars and went with these generic casters, but these ended up being terrible. The mount screws are so long that they required these spacers that ended up applying too much leverage, causing the metal to bend under the weight. Another problem is that these wheels are too narrow, so they can easily get caught on carpet, and actually left marks on my vinyl floor from the small contact pressure points. I ended up buying these FlexiSpot casters off of Amazon, and they're pretty much better in every way. The M8 thread on these casters are very common, so they work on a lot of other standing desk brands as well. Funny enough, I use these on my autonomous desk, so don't feel like you need to stick with a single brand. Under table drawers are a great way to clear up some clutter and can be found on Amazon in different colors and styles for pretty cheap. Highly recommended. If you really want to get crazy with organizing and you happen to have access to a 3D printer and want to go down a rabbit hole, look up Gridfinity. It's a storage and organization system, and the base grids happen to fit the ever so popular Alex drawers perfectly. Finally, these IKEA pegboards are pretty great as well. So yeah, having experienced 3 standing desks side by side, the FlexiSpot E7 to me comes out on top in terms of design and features per dollar spent, making it an easy recommendation if the $319 frame cost is within your budget. Features like the child lockout and collision detections are a must-have for me now, and the 15-year warranty just can't be beat. Comparing the E7 to the Autonomous, it actually kind of hurts to think about how much I spent on the Autonomous for the features I got, so don't make the same mistake I did. The monoprice workstream is much more affordable, but that comes at the cost of warranty coverage and many quality of life features. Fit and finish can also be a problem. The monoprice's table mounting bars, for whatever reason, were not level, so I actually needed to use washers as shims to level things out, something that I didn't have to do at all with the E7 or Autonomous. However, if you're just looking for a basic standing desk, you really can't beat a starting price of $169. Well, I hope my experience was helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, it really helps me out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.